Do you like hearing success stories? I know I do. Well, in today's video, I'm going to talk about the journeys and the paths of four players that I worked with that made it all the way to Division I baseball and even beyond. I think you're going to really enjoy these stories, and I think you're going to relate a lot. So, without further ado, let's get right at it.
And now, the most trusted name in all of youth sports, here's Coach Mark.
All right, it's Coach Mark here, and thanks again for being here. You can probably tell I sure do enjoy sharing information with you guys. And today is, of course, special because I'm going to talk about four players that I had the pleasure of working with and their parents, and they made it all the way to Division I baseball and beyond. Now, why is this so significant? Well, when you hear their stories, you will understand that all of them had to overcome some pretty significant obstacles and adversity. And I want you to just sort of put yourself in the position of these people. And as I tell the story, how would you have been feeling about the way things were going? So let's get started. The first player I'm going to tell you about is a kid named Logan Matthew. You're probably looking at him right now. Logan was a great kid. I met him when he was 12 years old, and he could really hit. That's the first thing that jumps out at somebody like me when you see a Logan, is he can hit. But as you can probably tell from the picture that I'm showing, he was a big kid. He was pretty slow. He was kind of knock-kneed. He wasn't super athletic, but he could hit. So the first point of this video, because in the stories, I'm going to weave in some tips that might help you. The first thing is there's always got to be something that we sort of gravitate toward. Like, what is our foundation? For Logan, it was his personality. He was a great kid with a great attitude, and that he could hit. But now we got to go to work on the things that are going to hold him back. So I sat down with him and his parents, and I said, look, you've got a great hit tool, but we got to clean your body up. We got to start changing your diet. We got to get you with a sports performance trainer. And we did all of that. And he morphed himself into a Division I player. Here he is right now on your screen, playing for Liberty University. Played for Scott Jackson down there, one of the top coaches in all of college baseball. Had a great career at Liberty. Hit a ton of home runs. Got to play after Liberty. And as you can tell from these two pictures, he changed his destiny, basically, with a great plan. And that brings me to one point I want to make sure everybody is clear, because everybody seems to be sensitive about guys taking credit for these kids' success. I'm not taking any credit ever for the success that these kids have. I guide them. I give them honest, accurate information that I do contribute in that way. But make no mistake about it, these kids and their parents put forth huge efforts, the heavy lifting, as I call it, to get themselves where they go. So want to make sure they get all the credit, not me. All right, let me talk about the next kid. His name's Chad Luensmann. Now, you're looking at a picture of Chad here as a youngster, and he's another story, but he's almost like the polar opposite of Logan, because he was a tall, skinny kid. We had to talk to him about eat more, and get on a nutrition plan to put on muscle and hit the weight room, because he was a gangly, tall, skinny kid that, he got tired of hearing me say it, so here's another tip. You can't get tired of people, or you can, but you still have to continue to hear people that truly love you and care about you telling you the things that you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. Over the years, I'll be the first one to admit, I've had a few families that just weren't ready for the truth. The old Tom Cruise movie, where Jack Nicholson yells, "You can't handle the truth."
You can't handle the truth.
And I've had some of those people, and I can't help that, because I'm not going to just tell people what they want to hear. I'm going to tell them what I think they need to hear, and then, of course, they need to do something about it. But Chad, he did something about it, He grew up into an amazing athlete. He actually got drafted out of high school. He passed up the draft and accepted a scholarship to go to Nebraska, and he became the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. So he had an amazing Division I career, but again, if he doesn't, number one, get the information, you're going to see a trend here, getting information. A lot of people don't get information, and then when they get it, doing something about it. And this is the path to the next level. And he did, and he had an amazing college career as well. So another great success story. All right, let's go on to number 3, kid named Bryce Hensor. I love telling Bryce's story. Here he is on the screen because he had no, let's call them Division I tools. Okay, a lot of these Division I guys are looking for certain metrics: 60 time, arm strength, body type, ball exit speed, all these metrics that a lot of people associate with Division I baseball. I get it. I do too. Bryce defied all of it, and I'm going to tell you the story of why he was able to overcome no Division I tools and still have an amazing Division I career. Are you ready for this? It's how he played the game. Bryce we called him a throwback kid. He was old school. He was a baller, a dirt baller, a grinder. All these adjectives, everybody in baseball knows what those kids are. They are fun to watch. They help their team win. They have extremely high baseball IQ. They out hustle, out grind, out everything their opponents and their team. They're the hustlingest kids on the team. That's who Bryce was. Now, I want to tell you about the night he got a scholarship, because you really need to hear this. It's crazy how this happened. We were playing in Georgia, and of course, I'm a promoter. I promote kids that I think are worthy, and Bryce was worthy. But I never tell college coaches, you need to offer this kid. I just say, I think you'll enjoy watching this kid play. I invited the Morehead State coach to come over and watch him play. So he comes out before the game, and we were just getting ready to start, and he wants to talk to me. And I just kind of said, you know what? Let's talk after the game, in between innings, whatever. But let's just watch him play. That's what I said to the coach. So he's behind me. I'm coaching third base. Bryce leads off the game, and Bryce gets a hit, steals second, or gets down to second quickly, comes over to third, and within literally a couple pitches, Bryce had gotten around the bases and scored the game's first run. And it was just because of his baseball IQ and his hustle. He did all these quote-unquote little things right. Well, in between innings, I turned around to talk to the coach, and he went like this. He went, and I went, okay. And he smiled, and he gave me a thumbs up, and he left. That was it. He saw one inning of Bryce playing, and he called me later that night. He says, look, I love that kid. You were right. He is a baller. He's a grinder. That's our culture. I want to offer the kid. Do you think he'll come to Morehead State? I said, I think he will. I mean, I was honest. I said, he's not getting tons of Division I offers, but he will make somebody a very happy coach. And sure enough, they offered him a scholarship. He went to Morehead State, had a great career. What a story. What a story. Now, he's an above average player. Don't get me wrong. But his baseball IQ, his hustle, his tenacity, his competitiveness really raised his stock. Okay? So if you're a young parent, young player, those things matter. You still need to be a good player, though. I want to make sure I'm clear on that. All right. Here's my last story. Speaking of good players, I want to tell you about a kid named J.J. Matijevic, a kid from Norwin, Pennsylvania, that I had the pleasure of working with him and his family. J.J., I met him when he was 14, and he was, let's just say he had a lot of confidence, okay? I'm not going to go as far as saying he was cocky or arrogant, although some might say that. He just was blessed with a lot of confidence. He had swag about him. But there were some parts of his game that were lagging behind. Now, he could hit. He was another lefty stick that could just swing it. I mean, he hit tanks, and he hit lasers all the time. So when I met with him and his parents after about 2 seasons with me, I call these meetings the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I sat down with them, and I don't pull any punches. That's why I call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're going to talk about everything. And by the way, I always give people the opportunity to give me the good, the bad, and the ugly. If they think I'm the worst coach in the world, hey, this is a private meeting, tell me. So anyway, we have this meeting, and I say to JJ, you can really hit. And he kind of perked up like, yeah, I know. And I said, but you're a one-tool player. I said, I'll just tell you right now, one-tool players don't play very long because there's guys with 2 and 3 and 4 tools that can hit like you. You can really hit. I'll give you that. And he goes, well, what are you saying? I'm saying, you don't field well, you don't run well, you don't throw well. We got to work on that. We got to put some effort into the things you don't do well. You know, you've heard me maybe refer to these as the yeah buts, college coaches. I like this kid, JJ, but his feet are too slow, but his arm's a little shaky. Whatever the but is, kids get passed over. So I shared that with JJ. And then this was the funniest part of the story. He also was not in great shape. Even though he had the frame to be an absolute beast, he wasn't. And I said to him, JJ, give me one good reason why you're not in the best shape of your life. I said, I have an excuse. I'm an old guy. Your dad actually looks like he's the player. His dad was absolutely ripped. So I said, I kind of challenged JJ. I said, why aren't you in the best shape of your life? And he kind of didn't have an answer. I said, we got to get you in the best shape of your life. You got to look the part. Your bat's going to stand out no matter what. And we're going to catch these other tools up. Well, his dad calls me in March. This was in October. His dad calls me in March and says, hey, JJ would like for you to come see him play in high school. So I'm like, great, I'll come over. I did not recognize the kid. He completely morphed his body in literally a couple months, October to March. He got into weight room. He cleaned up his diet. And he really, really turned himself into a pro-looking player. In fact, let me finish the story. So he has an amazing high school career at Norwin High School. He wins the Whippeal Triple Crown. That's the Western Pennsylvania Athletic Conference. Huge, huge conference. Well, he wins the Triple Crown there, gets drafted out of high school, passes it, goes to Arizona, leads Arizona to the College World Series. I'm sitting at home watching him play on TV. And then he gets drafted high and goes and plays for the Astros and makes it to the big leagues. Okay, so this is a one-tool player as a 14-year-old that's not in great shape that completely changed the destiny of his career and makes it all the way to the big leagues. I mean, I'm watching him on TV with Alex Bregman and Carlos Correa and Altuve and all these guys, and I'm like, this is crazy. I remember sitting at the table telling JJ he needs to clean things up. So, and again, I'm not taking any of the credit for that. It's just part of the story. But these are the stories, okay? I know everybody wants you to believe that you need to be Superman to play Division I baseball. You need to be a freak of nature. People want you to believe that. I'm not exactly sure why, because I've been coaching kids for 20 years that have had amazing Division I careers and pro careers, and they just had a great plan, a great work ethic, a great attitude. They had above average ability, but by no means were they freaks of nature. And when I say freaks of nature, I'm talking about kids that can do everything wrong and still make it. There are people like that. There are people in the big leagues that really don't have a great work ethic, and not many, but there are some that are just so incredibly talented. It's like drinking water for them, okay? But for all these other kids, great plan, great work ethic, great attitude, supportive parents. I'm giving you the secret sauce. This is what I do with my clients. We put these plans together. We go execute the plans. We make some adjustments along the way. These kids are getting where they want to go, okay? So whether you work with me or not, okay, that remains to be seen. But I promise you, if you have that formula in your life, and here's another one, people telling you the truth, you cannot go through this thinking you're better than you are, because if you do that, you're going to fall short. So you got to be willing to hear some truth and do something about it. So I hope these stories inspired you today. We had a big kid, Logan, that needed to clean up his body down. We had Chad, tall, skinny kid, needed to clean up his body with getting some muscle. We had Bryce, who was an athlete, but he didn't have any major tools. And we had JJ, who had one tool and turned himself into a major league player, okay? If those stories don't inspire you, I don't know what do. I'm looking for the next stories. Who wants to be the next story? That's what gets me fired up. All right. God bless. Thanks for listening. Moms, dads, Coach Mark here. Did you know that there was more help available to you? It's true. Now, we love doing our YouTube videos. We're going to continue to do them. And please, by the way, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit some comments, get engaged with us. That helps build our YouTube channel so we can continue providing this free content. But in addition to that, you may not know about the Ambassadors Group. That is the consulting company that I formed specifically to get intimately involved with certain families, players, to help them all the way through the journey of youth sports. We're starting with kids as early as 10 and 11 years old. Now, I know all the haters out there are going to say, what are you doing with 10-year-olds? You know what? We're preparing these kids for the journey ahead. There's a big journey coming, and those that are prepared for it are going to do fine. Those that are unaware of what it's all about are going to really struggle in today's uber competitive environment. And parents, there's no guidebook of how to do this. Youth sports is a phenomenon. When I was a kid, there was no parent involvement. But now, as you know, you're very involved. So we're helping guide parents through this journey. There's a lot of things coming your way. If you have help, they can go smoothly. But if you don't and you wing it on your own, it can be a disaster, okay? I can't get into all the details now, but trust me, in 20 years, I've seen a lot of people blow it because they just didn't know what they were doing, okay? Not trying to fearmonger you. I'm trying to help you understand it's hard to get to the next level. 97% of high school players will never play Division I baseball. 93% will never play any college baseball. Those are the stats, okay? Pretty sobering. But here's another stat for you. Nearly 100% of our clients are moving on to the next level. And you might say, how is that possible? Here's how. We are very selective with who we choose to work with, okay? We're also very specific on what needs to happen. We have a game plan. We execute the plan. We make adjustments along the way because there are things that happen that we can't foresee. We're good at making adjustments. And then when the time comes, we have a database full of college coaches that are supporting us. Because think about it, if you're a college coach, wouldn't you love a program that is actually grooming kids with integrity, with commitment, with goal setting, with attitude, with respect, with community outreach, being a great teammate? I mean, I could go on and on of the things that we're doing with our clients to help prepare them for these guys at the next level. So, if that sounds interesting to you, here's what you need to do. Fill out the little form down below. Answer a couple simple questions, and if we think you qualify, we're going to get back in touch with you. We're going to set up a private consultation just for you, and we'll talk about your son. We'll talk about the plan that he could have, and we'll find out if this makes sense that we work together. That's the Ambassadors Group. So I hope to talk to you soon.